Good morning. It is Wednesday, January the 16th, and this is The Drill. And thank you very much. This is Ron, your host, the only true conservative in the United States of America today, because I'm the only person that makes the presumption for the status quo, speaking to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers. Once upon a time, the teacher of Moses called upon mankind with a warning. At a certain date, he said, all the water in the world which had not been specially hoarded would disappear. It would then be renewed with different water, which would drive men mad. Only one man listened to the meaning of this advice. He collected water and went to a secure place where he stored it and waited for the water to change its character. On the appointed date, the stream stopped running, the wells went dry, and the man who had listened, seeing this happening, went to his retreat and drank his preserved water. When he saw from his security the waterfalls again beginning to flow, this man descended among the other sons of men. He found that they were thinking and talking in an entirely different way from before, yet they had no memory of what had happened, nor of having been warned. When he tried to talk to them, he realized that they thought he was mad, and they showed hostility or compassion, not understanding. At first he drank none of the new water, but went back to his concealment to draw on his supplies every day. Finally, however, he took the decision to drink the new water, because he could not bear the loneliness of living, behaving, and thinking in a different way from everyone else. He drank the new water and became like the rest. Then he forgot about his own store of special water, and his fellows began to look upon him as a madman who had miraculously been restored to sanity. And this accurately describes the state of affairs in the United States of America today, where the battle is not political, it's not even social, it is psychologistic, and the battle is over sanity. So today I'm going to be reading from the Ayn Rand lexicon and continuing with the 30 covert emotional manipulation techniques when I come back. And thank you very much. And I forgot to include my little monologue there in the last segment. So what I wanted to talk about was the salad gate, let's call it that, from Donald Trump yesterday, and he was President Trump was talking to Clemson, the Clemson football players who won the national championship and were at the White House to celebrate. And the president had gone out and got McDonald's and other goodies of that nature because of the government shutdown. So, and he was talking about how, the first lady and the second lady were going to make salads, but I figured you guys weren't much salad eaters, so we went out and got McDonald's and whatnot. So some of the people on the news, the so-called news people, the political propagandists at CNN and whatnot, started making an issue out of the fact that the President Trump had talked about having his wife and the wife of the vice president make salads, that they might make salads for the players. And there was one woman in particular who called it flat out sexist. Now her co-host, a male, said that she might be overreading into the situation, and she became agitated and defended herself. No, I'm not overreading. It was a sexist remark, and went on a little bit of threw a little bit of a temper tantrum there. So she's wrong. There's nothing sexist about what his remark about his wife making a salad. Now, the question is, how do we know as a matter of fact and a matter of reality and not just as a matter of opinion? Okay, because that's what we want. All of us want to know. What's real? What's going on? What do I need to do? What do I need to know? In this particular case, the way to tell whether or not the president was being sexist was by listening carefully to what it is that he said. He said that his wife and the wife of the vice president were going to make salads. Now, what that indicates is that they were going to do so, of course, voluntarily, that they wanted to make salads, that perhaps this was something they like to do on a regular basis. Maybe they make salads for their husbands. Maybe they make salads for guests. They might enjoy doing that. I've known people that like to make Jell-O molds and bake cakes and do cookies and whatnot, right? So they might like to do it. Now, if the President of the United States had said, I was going to order my wife to make a salad, and have the Vice President order his wife to make a salad, that's sexist. If he had said that he was going to force his wife, or indicate in any way, shape, or form that what he was going to do is force his wife to make a salad, or make comments to the fact that, let's say he says, well, the ladies were going to make salads because that's a lady's job, that's sexist. Okay. So he didn't say that. The way he put things makes it sound as though the First Lady and the Vice President's wife were both interested in participating in this particular event, and were going to do so in their own way by making salads, and doing so voluntarily, not because it's the job of women to make salads, but because it's something that they as individuals like to do. So that's the way you can tell whether or not what he is saying is sexist. Listen carefully to what he's saying, and if there sounds like he is ordering around his wife, telling her what to do, or he's stereotyping, where he's saying things that give you the impression that he is stereotyping women, that making salads is women's work, as some men used to say back when I was growing up, then you know that he would indeed be acting in a sexist manner. So now on to the Ayn Rand lexicon, and the concept of the day is egalitarianism. Egalitarianism means the belief in the equality of all men. If the word equality is to be taken in any serious or rational sense, the crusade for this belief is dated by about a century or more. The United States of America has made it an anachronism by establishing a system based on the principle of individual rights. Equality in a human context is a political term. It means equality before the law, the equality of fundamental, inalienable rights which every man possesses by virtue of his birth as a human being, and which may not be infringed or abrogated by man-made institutions, such as titles of nobility or the division of men into castes established by law, with special privileges granted to some and denied to others. The rise of capitalism swept away all castes, including the institutions of aristocracy and of slavery or serfdom. But this is not the meaning that altruists ascribe to the word equality. They turn the word into an anti-concept. They use it to mean not political, but metaphysical equality, the equality of personal attributes and virtues, regardless of natural endowment or individual choice, performance, and character. It is not man-made institutions, but nature, i.e. reality, that they propose to fight by means of man-made institutions. Since nature does not endow men, all men with equal beauty or equal intelligence, and the faculty of volition leads men to make different choices, the egalitarians propose to abolish the, quote, unfairness, unquote, of nature and of volition, and to establish universal equality in fact, in defiance of facts. Since the law of identity is impervious to human manipulation, it is the law of causality that they struggle to abrogate. Since personal attributes or virtues cannot be redistributed, they seek to deprive men of their consequences, of the rewards, the benefits, the achievements created by personal attributes and virtues. It is not equality before the law that they seek, but inequality, the establishment of an inverted social pyramid, with a new aristocracy on top, the aristocracy of non-value. To understand the meaning and motives of egalitarianism, project it into the field of medicine. Suppose a doctor is called to help a man with a broken leg, and instead of setting it, proceeds to break the legs of 10 other men, explaining that this would make the patient feel better. When all these men become crippled for life, the doctor advocates the passage of a law compelling everyone to walk on crutches in order to make the cripples feel better and equalize the unfairness of nature. If this is unspeakable, how does it acquire an aura of morality or even the benefit of a moral doubt when practiced in regards to man's mind? Of special significance to the present discussion is the egalitarians' defiance of the law of causality, their demand for equal results from unequal causes or equal rewards for unequal performance. The new, quote, theory of justice of John Rawls demands that men counteract the injustice of nature by instituting the most obscenely unthinkable injustice among men, deprive, quote, those favored by nature, unquote, i.e. the talented, the intelligent, the creative, of the right to the rewards they produce, i.e. the right to life, and grant to the incompetent, the stupid, the slothful, a right to the effortless enjoyment of the rewards they could not produce, could not imagine, and would not know what to do with. Observe that the egalitarian's view of man is literally the view of a children's fairy tale. The notion that man, before birth, is some sort of indeterminate thing, an entity without identity, something like a shapeless chunk of human clay, and that fairy godmothers proceed to grant or deny him various attributes, favors, intelligence, talent, beauty, rich parents, etc. These attributes are handed out arbitrarily. This word is preposterously inapplicable to the process of nature. It is a lottery among pre-embryonic non-entities, and the supposedly adult mentalities conclude, since a winner could not possibly have deserved his good fortune, a man does not deserve or earn anything after birth as a human being because he acts by means of undeserved, unmerited, unearned attributes. Implication: to earn something means to choose and earn your personal attributes before you exist. If there were such a thing as passion for equality, not equality de jure, but de facto, it would be obvious to its exponents that there are only two ways to achieve it, either by raising all men to the mountaintop or by raising the mountains. The first method is impossible because it is the faculty of volition that determines a man's stature and actions. But the nearest approach to it was demonstrated by the United States and capitalism, which protected the freedom, the rewards, and the incentives for every individual's achievement, each to the extent of his ability and ambition, thus raising the intellectual, moral, and economic state of the whole society. The second method is impossible because if mankind were leveled down to the common denominator of its least competent members, it would not be able to survive, and its best would not choose to survive on such terms. Yet it is the second method that the altruist egalitarians are pursuing. The greater the evidence of their policy's consequences, i.e., the greater the spread of misery, of injustice, of vicious inequality throughout the world, the more frantic their pursuit, which is one demonstration of the fact that there is no such thing as a benevolent passion for equality, that the claim to it is only a rationalization to cover a passionate hatred of the good for being the good. And there was a lot of that when I was growing up about being a goody two-shoes type of thing. And also if you were smart, if you were an intelligent kid, you would not be praised very often by other children, by your peers. You would be very often scorned and ridiculed by those same students. Very often, again, students that are getting C's, D's, and F's. And if you're getting A's and B's, but they're going to look down their nose at you. And what they use is that split between, in education or smarts, between street smarts and book smarts. Say, well, you're just book smart, but I have street smarts. Well, good for you if you're going to be a drug dealer. Other than that, I don't know how it's going to help you. Let me see. There's something else here. Let's see. To understand the meaning and motives of egalitarianism, breaks people's legs, crippled for life, have everybody walk on crutches. They see the consequences, the rewards, the benefits, achievements created by personal attributes and virtues. It's not equality before the law that they seek, but inequality, the establishment of inverted social pyramid with a new aristocracy at the top, the aristocracy of non-value. Anyways, I can't find the part that I was looking for when I remember, then I'll come back to it. So when I come back, I'm going to be reading from, picking up where I left off yesterday on the 30 covert emotional manipulation techniques. Thank you very much. 30 covert emotional manipulation techniques. And I'm reading this because these are the tools, the techniques, the tactics that the left uses every day. They use them in Washington, D.C. They use them in the state capitals. They use them in city and county governments. And they also use them at the soccer fields while standing in line for groceries. And your family members use them, your coworkers. Not all of your coworkers and family members and whatnot, and friends, but there's always going to be a certain number of them. You're going to run into these people each and every day. They're not necessarily people that you're dating or married to. Again, it might be your boss. It might be a coworker, or somebody, again, that you meet or run into standing in line for groceries at the grocery store. And this is the 8th because we're going through the list. We've already gone through 7 of them, and this is number 8, called indirect insults. Always remember, he knows exactly which buttons to push, unquote, unknown. Name-calling and insults are direct and obviously aggressive and abusive. An underhanded way to disguise aggression and abuse is to deliver it without the angry or sarcastic tone of voice and to make it sound like teaching, helping, giving advice, or offering solutions. It appears to be a sincere attempt to help, but it's actually the opposite. It's a powerful way to undermine your confidence in yourself and your abilities. For example, a manipulator might tell you that you'd be less boring as a dance partner if you took a few lessons, when you never knew he considered you boring to dance with. Or she might tell you that she thinks you're a perfectly adequate partner when you question her about what you sense as her emotional withdrawal. Or he might say that he loves it when you wear that dress because it has such a slimming effect on you. These indirect insults are sometimes called backhanded compliments, but that doesn't do justice to the effect this tactic has when the manipulator, someone whom you consider close to you and whom you believe has your best interest at heart, zeroes in on your biggest insecurities or disparages what you consider to be your best qualities. And I'm trying to remember, the sincere on offer or sincere way to help. There was a lady that I know fairly well. I hesitate to call her a friend because she's a bit of a lefty, but she's also kind of confused. She's not a useful idiot, socio-politically speaking, I guess would be the way to put it. But anyway, so we were having some kind of a conversation about buying a house. I was interested in buying a house. And she says to me, and this is in front of a whole bunch of other people, hey, make sure, promise me that you're going to bring somebody with you when you go look at houses. And she says, because you sure don't know how to buy automobiles. And that's exactly what he's talking about with the indirect insult, making it sound as though she's trying to be helpful when in reality she's putting me down. Number 9, insinuating comments or compliments. The manipulator innocently makes what is actually a carefully crafted, insinuating comment designed to evoke an uncomfortable emotional response. When you take offense, he will tell you that it is not what he intended. The statement is usually disguised as a compliment, but it's one that does not feel very flattering. It is disguised enough, though, for you to believe that you might have misunderstood. But the manipulator knows what will bother you, and he or she will enjoy dropping a bomb like this and watching the fallout. Their comment is designed to have several possible meanings, many of which will inspire hurt feelings and doubt. You may feel flummoxed and left without a meaningful response when you first hear it because it has so many possible interpretations. As an example, your partner smiles and says, "You know what? You can make a lot of money as a prostitute." After you've had sex with him. When you question him, he will tell you that he meant it as a compliment, but you will wonder what he really meant for a long time to come. For the example given, you might wonder why your partner was thinking about prostitutes when he was in bed with you. why he knows so much about prostitutes in the first place, what he really thinks of you, and the amount you should put on the bill you're tempted to send him. And you will also wonder if he was just complimenting you on how great he thinks you are in bed, as he said he was. Comments like these will go to work on you and provide the fuel for plenty of resentment, future arguments, and relationship insecurity. It is easy for the manipulator to make it look like a misunderstanding on your part, but therein lies the clue. The manipulator says he or she meant it as an innocent compliment, one that you simply misunderstood. Of course you did. Compliment doesn't usually hurt your feelings or leaving you feeling bewildered. And situation happened to me where I was being sexually harassed at work. And no, not by a woman, by a man. And the man was the vice president of the company I happened to be temping for. And I was in running the copy machine one day in the copy room. He came in, and it was just he and I in the copy room. And then as he was leaving, he passed really close by to me, and his hand, the back of his hand, brushed my buttocks as he walked by. And I've told this to people before and cited this as an example of the sexual harassment. And the people said, well, how do you know it wasn't an accident? And I said, simple. Accidents don't make my skin crawl. Number 10, guilt. A skilled manipulator can make you feel incredibly guilty for not doing something they want you to do. Your conscience and your desire to be a good person can be used to control you. They can make you lose sight of the fact that you don't want to do what the manipulator wants you to do, but you've been made to feel that you should do it. Many of us are conditioned to feel guilt by our family, religion, and society, so it is easy for manipulators to make us feel it too. Being able to feel guilt means we have a conscience. It's not a bad thing, except when it's exploited. Guilt is a negative emotion experienced when we believe that we have harmed someone, or when we've done or failed to do, or when something we've done or failed to do made someone think poorly of us. Our natural reaction is to apologize, make amends, and act in a way that will make the other person think highly of us again, which means acting in a way that person wants us to act. Guilt is closely related to shame and anxiety. It is an uncomfortable emotion, so we are highly motivated to avoid it. We evade the torment of guilt by behaving the way others expect us to. Manipulators know this all too well and use it to their advantage. The following are examples of statements that can send us on a guilt trip. Quote, I can't believe you would even think I would lie to you, unquote. Quote, how can you feel that way after all I've done for you, unquote. Quote, don't worry, I guess I'll manage somehow if you won't help me out, unquote. Quote, if you really loved me, you would fill in the blank with anything a manipulator wants you to do that you do not want to do. Usually, for men, it's if you really love me, you'd have sex in this kind of position or with the lights on or whatever the situation happens to be. So, the guilt trips. What was I thinking? The negative. We harmed somebody. Blah 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 blah. There was something that about the guilt. Let's see if you think you should do it. No, I can't remember now. So, anyways, but those again are some examples of tools and techniques that are used by the average lefty, and you're going to see them again used on television. You hear about it on the radio and read about it in print about various politicians that are going to use. And it's not always Democrats. A lot of Republicans are envious of the left. They're envious of the left because they have been brainwashed into believing that the left is more fun, that the left is having more fun, that the left is cool and hip, and that the left appeals better to certain demographics, younger people, that appeals to Hispanics, blacks, women better than Republicans do. So the Republicans will try to ape the left, act like the left, so that they can enjoy the benefits, the illusory benefits that the Democrats seem to be enjoying. So one of the things, if nothing else, if you can't do anything else and you want to know what can I do to be a better conservative, to help to stop socialism in this country, don't spread the disease. Simple. Don't spread the disease. If you catch a cold, you don't go to work and sneeze on people, right? Okay, same thing here. When you hear new ways of expressing oneself, expressing yourself, and for instance, today the fashionable thing is for men. I never hear it from women, but from men, calling other men, usually calling me boss. Hey, boss. My name's not boss. And the polite way to refer to somebody you don't know is sir or mister, not boss. Boss is an offhand and somewhat it's like calling somebody buddy or pal, creating a false intimacy, like we're friends when we're really not. We're not friends. We're not buddies. You know, if you want to call your friends and your friend's boss all day long, hey, knock yourself out. And not only do I get this just from people, regular people, but I get it from people that are in a customer service position. I've gone to McDonald's, get in the drive-up lane, and get to the window to pay for my order, and the guy calls me boss. Hey, how's it going, boss? And in a situation like that, I immediately tell him, excuse me, my name isn't boss. You know, but at the very least, if somebody's calling you boss and you don't like it, and you're not in a position to deal with them directly, you're not on your turf or in a position where you're a customer, for instance, then one of the best ways to handle it is to respond if they are male, which they will be. Like I said, I never hear women use the term. Then you say, when they say, how's it going, boss? Pretty good, sir. And how are you? And there's a number of them that get the message when I do that. I say, fine, sir. How are you, sir? And they change. The next time they address me as sir or mister. So, but that brings us to the conclusion of another episode of The Drill. And until next time, thank you very much for listening, and have a great day.